It was a ticking time bomb, a global crisis that threatened to bring the world to its knees. Planes were supposed to fall from the sky, banking systems were expected to collapse, and nuclear reactors could have malfunctioned, all because of a tiny flaw in computer code. But when the clock struck midnight on January 1st, 2000, nothing happened. So what was the Y2K bug? Why did the world fear it? And how did we avoid disaster? Let's dive into the story of the Millennium bug, the computer glitch that had the world on edge. Back in the 1960s and 70s, computer storage was expensive, and programmers had to be efficient. To save space, they shortened dates, using only the last 2 digits of the year instead of 4. So instead of storing 1975, they simply stored 75. It seemed harmless at the time. Fast forward to the late 1990s, and a terrifying realization hit. What would happen when computers reached the year 2000? Would they think it was 1900 instead? This wasn't just about dates being wrong. Banking systems, air traffic control, medical equipment, power grids, and even military defense systems relied on date-sensitive calculations. If they suddenly jumped back 100 years, critical failures could follow. Companies and governments scrambled to assess the damage. What if hospitals lost patient records? What if Social Security payments stopped? Would stock markets crash overnight? Some even feared that nuclear missile systems, which relied on precise timing, could misfire due to faulty calculations. As the year 2000 approached, panic spread. Businesses poured billions of dollars into fixing their software. Governments launched emergency response plans. Tech experts worked around the clock to rewrite code, test systems, and ensure that disaster was avoided. And then there was the public hysteria. People stockpiled food, water, and cash, convinced that society would collapse at the stroke of midnight. Some even fled to remote areas, preparing for an apocalyptic breakdown of modern life. The media fueled the fear. News reports warned of catastrophic failures, reinforcing the belief that January 1st, 2000 could be doomsday. Movies and TV shows imagined the worst: nuclear plants melting down, planes falling from the sky, cities plunging into darkness. If you're enjoying this deep dive into history, make sure to like this video, drop a comment below, and subscribe for more stories like this. Finally, the moment arrived. As the world celebrated the new millennium, computer engineers watched anxiously. Would power plants fail? Would airplanes suddenly lose navigation? Midnight struck, and the world held its breath. And then, nothing major happened. A few minor glitches popped up. Some parking meters malfunctioned, a few websites displayed the wrong date, and a nuclear radiation monitoring system in Japan briefly failed. But overall, the world kept turning. The disasters that people feared never materialized. Some critics argue that Y2K was blown out of proportion, that the panic was unnecessary and the threat was never real. But others say that because companies and governments spent years preparing, disaster was averted. The truth? We'll never really know how bad it could have been. But what we do know is that the Y2K panic led to one of the most expensive tech fixes in history. Over $300 billion was spent worldwide to update systems and prevent failures. And Y2K left behind a lasting impact. It exposed just how dependent the world had become on computers and how vulnerable we could be if systems failed. It also changed the way businesses and governments approached technology risks. After Y2K, companies developed stronger disaster recovery plans. Engineers adopted better coding practices to prevent similar issues in the future. And while the world didn't end at midnight, Y2K served as a warning, a reminder that as technology evolves, so do the risks that come with it. So was Y2K a global overreaction or a crisis narrowly avoided? In hindsight, it may seem like unnecessary panic, but what if the world had done nothing? Would the outcome have been the same? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Y2K was a real threat, or was it all hype? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories from history and technology.